Hi guys, it's good to see you today. I just want to talk to you a little bit about the mindset that I want you to take on for this week and specifically for today. So today we're focusing on reasons versus excuses. And why aren't you successful now? Why aren't you successful yet? And as I say that, I should tell you that my mentor has a book by that very name. It is called Why Are You Not Successful Now? Her name is Paige Fletcher. She has written 3 books, and I'm telling you, if you purchase that book, Why Are You Not Successful Now? It's yellow in color and it's on Amazon. You will be able to find many things, many useful tips that will help you to make your life more wholesome, will help you to figure out some of the things that are holding you back, such as time management, some of the things that are holding you back, such as goal setting. It will help you with those things, very practical tips, and she points you in a direction where you can actually take some action steps. So the book is called Why Are You Not Successful Now? As I mentioned, the topic for today. So the mindset that I want you to take on for today and for the rest of the week is, why am I not successful yet? And before I even get into the reasons versus the excuses, I first want to just give you an idea as to what I mean by successful. Because first of all, you have to understand that there is no general definition of success in terms of you don't have to achieve a particular phenomenon before you can be regarded as successful. Of course, society has those general notions as to what amount to success. So maybe if you have the ideal home and the family and the car, then society would deem you to be successful. However, when I speak of success or of you being successful, what I am referring to is, what is that thing that you know when you achieve it is going to make you feel fulfilled? It's going to give you that joy that you desire. That is what success is, which means that you can tailor it to mean anything that you want it to mean. So success is, a successful teacher is a teacher who is doing that job because that's what she wanted to do. A successful person who is a doctor because they wanted to do medicine to help people. That's a successful person. A successful person is the individual who wanted to be a politician, and they're doing just that. So success is determined by what it is that you want to spend your life doing and whether or not you're doing that now. So if you're where you are, sitting down or standing up, and you're watching this video and you ask yourself, am I where I want to be? If the answer is no, then it means that you're not yet successful. But it doesn't mean that success has to continue to evade you. You can be successful. You can achieve whatever it is that you wish to achieve, unless it's something unrealistic like growing wings, right? And no one is trying to do that, really. So how are you going to determine what steps you need to take going forward to help you, to propel you in the direction where you want to go? One of the things that I want to share with you today is something that can begin to put things into perspective, and that is to distinguish and differentiate between your reasons versus your excuses. Because one of the things that you find is that many of us have excuses masquerading as reasons in our lives, and they're serving as obstacles, because they're telling us that our reason for not taking that extra step is because of this particular thing. But when you really analyze it, when you really assess it, it's just an excuse. And that is not good enough. So here are 3 quick points that I want to share with you. The first one is that your reasons emanate from your virtues, whereas your excuses emanate from your vices. What do I mean by that? Your reasons, they emanate from your virtue, from your desires. There's something that you want to do, and you know that if you have the right factors in place, if you have the right if you have the right factors in place, then you can actually achieve these things. And that is coming from the desire that you have in your heart to achieve that particular thing, as opposed to excuses which come from your vices. So there may be certain things that are holding you back. You may have a habit that is just constantly getting in your way. Your habit may be something as simple as just being able to manage your time better, or as extreme as an addiction. So if you're addicted to alcohol, I've come across a lot of people who are addicted to different things in my line of work. And one of the things is that they continue to tell themselves that, I want to do this, but no one is helping me. And they do not want to accept responsibility. They do not want to accept the fact that this alcohol or this particular thing that they're addicted to is really the thing that is keeping them back. It is a vice, and it is inhibiting them from maximizing their potential, from pushing themselves to that extra step. And because of that, you know that whatever step you're going to take to make your life better, to make your life more fulfilling, it starts with you ultimately. And actually, before you even get to the action, it starts with you having a particular mindset, having that particular desire to change, to make some adjustments so you can go in the direction you want to go. And in order for you to do that, you have to first accept responsibility. You have to first accept that this is an obstacle in your way. This is a vice that is actually inhibiting your progress, and that you need to find a way to get rid of it before you can actually move forward. And so that's what I mean when I say that your excuses emanate from your vices, whereas your reasons emanate from your virtues. So your reasons emanate from that good place, what it is that I was called to do, what is my purpose in life, what are my deepest desires, what are the things that if I were doing them right now, they would make me feel very fulfilled, and they would make me have joy. They would make me feel a constant emotion of happiness and make me want to help people. So you can distinguish that. And that's where your reasons come from. Why is it that you're working so hard? Because you have this particular goal that you want to accomplish, because you have this desire to help people to realize their full potential. And unless you're doing that, you're not going to be fulfilled. That is a reason. And that is what basically explains your why. That's your motivation for keeping on the journey. That's your motivation for sticking to the plan even when things get really difficult for you. The second point I want to share with you is that your excuses keep you from the real issues. And this is basically an extension of the first point. Your excuses keep you from the real issues, whereas your reasons are the real issues. So it may be a case whereby you want to go to college, you want to engage in further studies, but the real issue is that you do not have the financial resources, or you do not have a place where you can go to get that assistance. So that's a legitimate issue. So that's your reason for not taking that extra step. So maybe if you share that with the right person, or if you do some research, you may be able to arrive at some sort of conclusion as to what are the steps that you can take, or what are the different outlets that you can potentially benefit from if you were to do some research and qualify, or how you can go about maybe making some money from some of your gifts, those additional streams of income. So your reasons are the real issues. That's the real thing that's preventing you from doing what it is that you want to do. Whereas your excuses keep you from the real issues, because you're basically making excuses for yourself. And you don't want to accept responsibility for what is the real problem, what is the real phenomenon that's standing in your way. So the real issue might be an addiction, like I mentioned earlier, or it might be you're just too complacent, too lackadaisical, too laid back, and you don't want to take responsibility. You don't want to actually get up and fight that urge to lay in bed for extended hours. You know it's going to take some additional energy out of you. You know it's going to take that adjustment of mind, but it is possible, but you refuse to do it. However, when someone asks you, why is it that you're not pursuing your dream? You say, you know what, I'm really poor, or I have no energy. Yes, you have no energy, but you can overcome it. Yes, you're really poor, but you have some skills that can potentially help you to make some money. It might not be the kind of money that you need, but like I said earlier this week, rather late last week, you do not have to be great to get started, but you have to start to be great. This is a quote that I found a couple of years ago, and I really loved it, and I've kept it. And it is a reminder to me that even if there is something I want to do and I don't know how to do it, the most important thing is to get started. So the real issue might be you just have this inhibition all the time when you want to start something. You're afraid, and your fear overpowers you and prevents you from getting started. So you want to find a way to push through that fear. And as Lisa Nichols says, do it afraid. If it is something that's difficult and you're afraid to start because it's difficult, do it hard. You may fail the first time, but if your fear is fear of failure, then that's no problem, because failure is inevitable. You are going to fail. And it has been said by someone that failure, success is moving from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. So you are going to fail maybe multiple times before you actually achieve what it is that you want to achieve. I can use the analogy of J.K. Rowling, the writer of Harry Potter. She submitted her book to about 40 different publishers. before one actually accepted her. And we know the success that Harry Potter is today. For me, I am someone, I persevere. I'm very dedicated, I'm very diligent. But after 5 or maybe 10 times, I probably would have given up. But what she has taught me is to be more resilient. She has taught me to push if I know deep down within my heart that that's something that I need, that that's something for me that I should push through and work until I get the result that I need. That's what she has taught me. And you can learn something from that too. The final point I want to share with you is that your excuses, they cause you to settle, while your reasons, they put you in a position where you can aspire to something. So the distinction there is that you may be doing okay, but you're not doing your best. And you make excuses and you say because you don't have enough resources to go to the next step, or you don't know the right people, you don't have the right connection, you don't know how to network. You come up with all these excuses as to why you're in the position where you are right now, but because of that you settle for okay. But if you can be great, then okay is not sufficient. And I could tell you this, it means that okay is never sufficient because we can all be great. As Les Brown says, you have greatness within you. If I can stand here or sit here and tell you that you have greatness within you, you should believe me, because I am coming from a place whereby if someone had told me that 2-3 years ago, I would be very uncertain. I would be very, very uncertain if someone had said that to me. I'd be hesitant to believe them because I am coming from a place whereby I had no confidence. I was faking it. I'm coming from a place whereby I really thought that the world was pretty much against me and I was always going to have to be working to achieve things on my own. But that was before I knew how to be grateful, because as bad as your situation may be, you have to understand that it is not as bad as it could have been. And this is not in comparing yourself to other people, because I've always told persons who I come across that you don't get complacent by comparing yourself to other people, and especially to other people's failures, to say, at least I'm better than that person. That's nothing to aspire to. And that again is an excuse to remain complacent, to remain mediocre. When you are comparing yourself, it must be to someone who is at a point where you want to reach. So you must be looking up. The person must be at a zenith that you want to reach, and then you can compare yourself. But if it is someone on a lateral level or someone beneath you in terms of stature or beneath the particular goal or aspiration that you have, then it's not sufficient. And that is what I mean when I say that excuses, they cause you to settle. They cause you to settle for ordinary. And one of the main reasons why I always discourage people from accepting such a mentality is that it gives you the false notion that there is this even keel, that you can get to a particular level and just level it off and be comfortable and you'll be okay for the rest of your life. No. The variables around you are constantly changing. The economy is changing. Things are getting more expensive day by day in some countries, especially countries where the dollar value is devaluing at a rapid pace. So if you don't change, if you don't constantly try to grow and try to make your better, to improve on what you're good at, then you will realize that the rest of the world is going to move ahead of you. There are some people who are really gifted, who are very good writers. They're gifted in a myriad of areas, but they just did not catch on to the computer era because that was not their norm when they started out, and they just didn't take it up because they felt like, okay, those over there can go ahead and use a computer, but I'm good right here. And then before you know it, the rest of the world is ahead of them and they're still at that level. No, they're no longer at this level. They have receded. They have receded because the reason for that is they did not try to improve upon what they already knew. And a lot of us do that in our lives. A lot of us are settling. We're in relationships where we're unhappy, where we're unfulfilled, but we do not try to work it out with the person, to let the other person know what it is that's going on, that's preventing you from feeling how you know you could feel, what is preventing you from maximizing your potential. Maybe it's not going to be with that person, and maybe you need to get out, but you feel like it's the right thing to do to stay. Right thing for whom? If it is making you unhappy, if it is making you unfulfilled, then it is not the right thing for you to do, because God doesn't want you to have an unfulfilled life. God wants you to live a life of abundance. It is said throughout the scripture, the Bible is rife with different ways, different descriptions as to what type of abundance God promises you. So if it is that you're doing it for God, you're going about it the wrong way. So you need to do it for you. And if you have children, you need to do it for the children, because the Bible says that a good man leaves a legacy for his children's children. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is if you are bettering your best. You have to understand that there is enough out there for everyone. Jimmy Cliff sings a song that says, they tell me of a pie in the sky waiting for me when I die. Well, I know what that analogy was about, but I want to use it for something else. There is a pie, but it's not waiting for you when you die, because when you die, you cannot use your gifts. It is there right now. And that pie is big enough for every single one of us to get a slice and still leave some over. Think about the Sermon on the Mount in St. Matthew, when Jesus didn't have enough food to feed everyone, and the little boy showed up with the 2 fish and the 5 loaves of bread. And think of how they were able to break those up and share it for everyone, and then still pick up 12 baskets full later. So that's what that pie is. It is so big that each of you can get a satisfactory slice, and still there will be enough for those other persons and those to come. So you have to understand that if you're at a place in your life where you find you have all these reasons as to why you're not accomplishing what it is that you want to accomplish, you probably need to reevaluate yourself, because what you're fooling yourself into thinking that they're reasons, they're actually excuses. And you don't need those, because those excuses are holding you back. Those excuses are preventing you from going out there and manifesting your greatness. And you have the ability to do that. So yes, you might be around people who constantly tell you can't. Not because they hate you, not because they believe that you are slow or that you are incapable, but because they can't see the dream for themselves, because the dream sounds so big, they say it's outlandish and it's out of your realm. They can't see it for themselves, so there's no way they're going to be able to see it for you. So if you're constantly looking outside of yourself for validation, again, you're limiting yourself. You have to look within you. If you know in your gut that you can do the particular thing that you're working toward, then that is sufficient. And even when the uncertainties come, even when the fear comes upon you, you will know that you can do it, and you will know your reason will be your rod and your staff. Your reason will be your why. It will be that specific factor that is motivating you and is constantly remind you as to why you're working so hard to achieve your dreams. There is nothing that you cannot do. Your potential is limitless. But as the late Dr. Miles Monroe says, there is a lot of potential in the graveyard. A lot of people died with potential. Potential is not a thing. Potential is not tangible. It just means that you have the ability to do something, to be someone. But unless you act upon that, unless you implement some strategies to realize that, to bring that to life, it's only going to remain potential. You can only maximize your potential when you do something about your greatness, when you do something about your gifts. And remember, you have to understand that your gifts, they're not really about you, guys. They're not really about you. They're about the people that you came here to serve. So you have to find a way to get rid of those excuses so that you can focus on your gifts, so that you can use those gifts to impact the lives of the people who are patiently waiting in the wings to hear from you, to be impacted by you. So if it is that you have to start out by practicing, look at it this way. We pay doctors every single day to practice on us. A doctor is called a practitioner. And of course, I know what that means, but what I'm saying is that technically they are practicing on you, or we pay them for that. So if it means that you have to practice until you can improve to the point where you want to, then do that. But you have to understand that it is not enough for you to stay in that position and be complacent. I can share a story with you that I believe I have shared before, which is that I was at a point just up until last year where I was complacent, but I was very empty inside. And those looking on from the outside, they were not able to attest to that, because to them I was happy, because I'm very good at concealing my emotions and concealing what I'm feeling, because I don't like to bombard people and burden people with my problems. But I was dying inside because I was stuck in a job where I knew as the days went by that I was not happy, because I was not fulfilling my purpose. I was not being the best person that I can be. And because of that, each time I would meet someone and they would say, "What are you doing here? You could be doing that." It was a constant reminder and a thorn in my side that I could be more, that I could do more. And that, my friend, was one of the worst feelings that I've ever experienced. And the worst part of it was that I experienced it over and over and over. And I don't want that for you. I am speaking to you because I have been through this. And knowing what it felt like, knowing what that feels like, I don't want to see other persons go through the same thing if there's anything I can do to help them, or rather to prevent them from feeling that way. So my breakthrough came at the end of a disappointment where I was fired from a job, the only job I've been fired from in my entire life. And it was one of the worst feelings. It was embarrassing. It hit me in so many ways. You know, like Murphy's Law that says if anything can go wrong, it will go wrong. That's what happened to me. You're talking about my emotions plummeting. You're talking about the embarrassment that I felt. I couldn't even share with my family at the time that I was fired from my job because I was so embarrassed. They're going to think I'm a failure. And this is what I was already thinking on my own. So imagine my family thinking that. Imagine my friends who had graduated law school and were in great jobs. Imagine what they would have thought. I couldn't have shared this. I was dying inside, and on top of that, I was dealing with this burden. Then came the bills. And of course I had money saved, but of course time was running out. So now I needed to get a new job, right? How was I going to be able to sustain my lifestyle if it is that I was out of a job? So there was that issue as well. And also spiritually, I knew I was lacking. And I'm still growing right now, but I knew I was lacking. So I felt like I deserved it, because I didn't do what I needed to do to get my life right with God, and to get my life right so that God could help me to realize my purpose. So there were all these things going on. I was feeling a plethora of emotions, and I was at my lowest point. But you know how God works? Sometimes He brings you down to that level, whether it is to humble you or whether it's just to remind you of what reality is, and also to remind you of what it takes to be great. But whatever it was, I'm telling you, I was duly warned, because things started to work out when I thought that God forgot me, and I would go to church and I would pray and I would cry, and I just felt like I should leave it at the altar every Sunday. And at the end of the day, in one of the most unexpected ways, someone reached out to me and said, "Hey, I know of this job, you might be interested, send your resume." And I said, "Okay, another resume, I'm gonna send it." Before I knew it, I was called in for an interview, and I went to the interview, and I had a spiritual mother at the time, and I spoke to her, and she said, "Don't worry about it, man, this job is for you." And there was something inside of me that just felt right. I felt like I was on a mission. I've never felt anything like that going into an interview, but that day I felt like I was on a mission. And I'm telling you, I prepared, I went to the interview, it was great. And by the time I got home, I was on my way home. I just got off the bus, my phone rang. They called me and they said, "We want to set you up for a second interview. Can you come in tomorrow?" I said, "Sure." I didn't even think about it. I didn't think about what I was going to wear or anything. I just said, "Sure." I went back for the second interview and I was offered a job. That job came last year, July, and it is now today is the 1st of May, and I was promoted already. And not only that, the job is so fulfilling because I'm literally seeing people being helped every single day. People will come to you and they will say small things. "Thank you, Miss Brown, for this," or "Thank you, Miss Brown, for that." And yes, it might appear minuscule, but it makes you feel gratified inside because you realize that someone is being impacted by the work you're doing. It's not about me, but the work I'm supposed to do, the work I was called to do, it is to impact people's lives. And when you see that happening in front of your eyes, you know you're living. You know that you are fulfilling your purpose. And it is said in Romans 8:28 that we're all called for a purpose. So when you see people being impacted in the way that you know is gratifying inside, it gives you an indescribable joy. That's what I want for everyone. I want people to feel what I felt. And for me, I can identify it because it is at two different extremes. So last year I was at this low point. I know what that feels like. Now I am at this point where I just feel so happy inside. No matter when things are not completely the way how I want them to be, I just feel happy because every day is a new day for me to continue to work on myself, for me to come up with new ways and new things to share with other people. And that for me is gratifying because I have been on the receiving end of other people's generosity so many times. So I cannot even focus on the low moments in my life. I cannot focus on the obstacles that I've had to overcome because I've been on the receiving end of people who were just generous and wanted to help. I've been on that side, so I am grateful. And like I said in my presentation over the weekend, I thank God for my storms because one, I think storms make you stronger. If you notice, some of the most resilient people you know are the people with the harsh, with the most I cannot even find the word to describe They have some stories that you can only imagine. You only read about them in books. Those are the people with the toughest backgrounds. They are the most resilient, and they are the ones who go on to achieving big things because they know what it is like. They know what the struggles are like, and then they know how to be grateful for small things, and they know how to stick to it, to be dedicated even when things get really rough. So irrespective of where you are right now, that is not who you are. If you're not happy with where you are right now, don't judge yourself based on just that, and accept that that is all that you are. Where you are now is not all that you can be. It is just a part of the process, and you have to trust the process, because the process is just as important as the outcome. And for some of us, the process is longer than others. But every single day, people are just leaving us. In Jamaica, they would say someone drop out. These are people with big dreams, with great potential, who never had a chance to realize it. And you are still here. So make it count. Get rid of those excuses. Get rid of those excuses and let your reasons be your why. Let your reasons be your motivation to push you through, to push you forward to that big goal that you have inside of you. If anyone needs to speak with me further on any particular goal that you're working on, or if you need some direction, you know where to find me. I am right here, and I am willing to help you in the best way that I can, whether it is through some words or pointing you in a particular direction, or however I am led to help you, because that's my purpose. My purpose is to help in an all-encompassing way. I thank you, everyone, for coming and joining me. And the last words I want to leave with you is get rid of the excuses and have some reasons. Turn those reasons into your motivation, into your why, and get things done, because you can do it. Difficult does not mean impossible, and possible does not mean easy. Good things do not come easily. That's the first thing. Good things do not come easily. So if you're thinking about easy, maybe this is not for you. But there's no one who greatness is not for, because you were born for greatness. You're destined for greatness. And if you want to shine, you have to decide today that you will kick butt in its butt. You will get rid of the excuses, and you will press on to a brighter future. Guys, you can follow me on Instagram at SKB Renaissance Woman, or you can follow me on YouTube. It's my name, Shauna-Kaye Brown. And of course, my website link is in the bio section. If you have any questions or comments, I am here. I'm always willing to listen, and I'll help you as best as I can. The last thing is, guys, there is a group, which I'm going to post this video in the group when I'm done talking to you. It's called Manifest Your Greatness, Believe and Grow. You're all welcome to join, males and females, and especially the males out there who think that you're forgotten. I have a message for you. I want you to come, because I believe that the men in our society are sometimes, yes, forgotten, and are relegated to this corner of taking care of the kids, full stop. And a lot of them have some big dreams and great potential, and they just settle in life because we are focused on women empowerment, and that's amazing. I'm a woman, and I'm glad to see the empowerment movement, but I want the men to be helped as well. Because when we get to that point in our lives where we feel like we're so successful and we say, what's missing? That great man. Where are you going to find that person when you're not doing anything that you could possibly do to help the other person next to you, to help the man next to you to be the best person that he can be? So guys, don't feel left out. This is not just for the females. The men are welcome to join. I have a message for you. I want to help you. I want you to know that God made you to be great and to do great things, and you should never settle for excuses when you have great reasons to propel you forward. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you so much for joining. Have a great day, everyone.